So here we are, we three queens with part 2 with Chirabo. Welcome back. I am Chirabo and I'm here with the three queens.
Let's continue.
I would like to know like one of the most randomest things you've actually ever done that you just said yes to, like during a time that you could.
Oh wow.
And then I'll tell you mine because
You've got a good one.
I've got a good one. But I don't, and nothing can top chimpanzees. But we're gonna try.
I love everything you've said, and maybe to give you sometimes think about I don't have my
You
part.
might guess another one.
I do want to say this thing about being courageous. I'm sitting here and thinking it should be okay to not have a job for a bit. And when you start out, I know that pressure from just like I'm in school, I invested so much time. It's almost like it's society's pressure, and yet I'm wondering why later on, 8-10 years in, why was it so much of a pressure for me? And I think it's maybe being a high achiever and thinking that other people know that I'm a high achiever. Right, which is the same thing.
Their
it's
expectations.
still their expectations.
So they're gonna bang down they're gonna bang down
Yes,
the door.
and the courage. The courage. I'm looking for something actually. I'm trained in this and this, so I don't have anything right now. Do you have any ideas?
Yeah.
That should be said positively and not looking for something. I haven't found anything yet.
And I guess that's the clincher.
Yes.
Is that how do you say it? Even if, and you know what, you can fake it if you have to. Even if you're feeling a little grey, being in that valley.
Yes.
There's nothing that says you can't sort of say, and I'm reframing. Package it because you're selling yourself.
Exactly.
But don't you think there's a cultural element to it? I was in a meeting once where I was moderating a session at one of the UN events on climate, and this young lady from Jamaica speaks in this panel, and it was so powerful because she says, look, I'm sorry, and I'm gonna actually imitate her and speak in a Jamaican accent.
I love a Jamaican accent.
Because she was like, man, let me tell you something. It's so different. It's so different for us. You're talking about having to be a Greta Thunberg here in Europe. As a Jamaican and as a black child, I am socialized to only talk to the elders when I'm spoken to.
You see?
So that kind of cascades to your point about is it do I go and ask or do I just wait? Well, the person I'm asking is so many decades older than me, or
will they take me seriously?
So we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. And I think this whole cultural element and cultural norms, how do we break certain problematic cultural elements that will have implications on how we get out of the valley?
You know what? Honestly, I think that is going to take generations, but it starts with us having the consciousness to have this kind of conversation and say this is a cultural norm that is a barrier.
Correct.
It's making me stop myself from being my greatest self. And it means I'm not able to open the door for people that will come after me.
It's like bragging. You talked about bragging.
Yes, we have to
the bragging or humble episode that touched on that.
Yeah, so we have to.
Yeah.
With the cultural things, guys, we have to confront it and we have to have those conversations. And that's why we're having these conversations.
Yes.
I think even just in light of that, something so interesting about the valley as well is that there are certain ways we're going to be pushed out of our comfort zone. Correct. Like say for example you are not even just introverted, but maybe you're more of a self-starter, it's harder to have these conversations with people, or you even find that you are one of those people who culturally it has been ingrained to you to not just walk up to adults and have this adult conversation with them. But the fact is, like, one thing that you're gonna come out of this season with is a much tougher skin. They're not going to start that conversation with you, and no one can read your mind to find that this is what you're looking for.
No one can read your mind.
They say ask for what you want or settle for what you get. And yes, I would say even in my position, in the conversations that I have started with myself, there have been great ones and less than great ones where someone has given me the brush off, or you can just see that it's a bit of condescending, like, I'm sure, just stick it out. And even even being a woman, even being a young woman, there's also that element where you find that even when you say, I hear you have this great institution that does A, B, C, and D, I'd love to just have a conversation. Maybe we'll see what I can do. And it's that's very lovely. I think I'll reach out to mom and when I'm free, and we'll see. and you're sitting there thinking,
reach out to mom.
you know, and you're like, first of all, is it? I'm right here. Hello,
Yes.
sir. Hello.
Yeah.
And like, there's so much that you prep yourself for, or even like, there's so many things that you're going to have to prep yourself for, because not every conversation is going to go your way. In fact, majority won't.
Yes.
But that's reality, though.
Yeah.
And to your point,
but you have
you know, it's part of the learning journey.
It is,
because reality is you won't always get what you want as easily as we would all want to get it.
Yes.
And so this actually, it does toughen you up. I like what you said. It gives you a thick skin.
Yeah.
And that's the real world, because you will have to have a thick skin to navigate the real world.
So I want to ask her. I mean, do you also feel like there's some individuals, maybe family, friends or something, that just seem to think you're that 3-4-year-old they met, and you're not an adult? I'm just curious.
So not helpful. Those aunties and uncles.
You know
them.
Okay,
because I'm second and there are two more after me. It doesn't happen. But it happens to my little sister. Our little one. And I'm like, your little one was like 30 something.
All grown up.
Like, excuse me, I'm old enough to even be tried as an adult in court. Can I please get a job at least? But on that note, I would say yes, but it's something that they can't help. It's something that you can't help, and even I can do it now when I'm old enough to have nieces and nephews, where they'll ask me something, I'm like, I know now. It's just more of it put, as well as what that thick skin, it pushes you to also learn. The thing is, there are no lessons there's no way you're going to come out of this the same person, and these lessons aren't going to feel soft. Like the whole pressure makes diamonds. Pressure is not going to be fun. So even just like there is that element, even if it's not a family member, there is like people having this conversation and you want to assert yourself. Maybe it's even with a friend or with someone that you've known socially, and you're now like trying to assert that seriousness, and I can be a contender for this, or I can be a voice in this conversation. You take it as a challenge. Like, of course, you're taking me serious now, but like, I need to position myself in a way that you can see that I am.
Absolutely.
You know what? I love it. So there are a couple of things I don't want us to lose. I just want to make crisp for practical advice. That one is one. You know, like when somebody's a bit condescending, maybe they don't mean it. You can say, no, actually, just take me serious in this moment.
Or even your follow-ups is how you show you're serious.
Yes, so that's really something you can do. Come back to that person, because sometimes we don't mean it. Also, you said something, LinkedIn. I think the mention of LinkedIn made me think, in this valley, there are things that that you can do. Whether you can put them as internship, volunteering, call it consulting, even if it's unpaid. So think about what you can do and give yourself enough energy to do them. And even training, free training on Coursera or whatever. So I think that's really important, because you're adding skills for yourself. In terms of the power of yes.
Yes.
I mean, I just came up.
We're circling back. Don't worry. We're back on the path. We're back on the path.
Yes, I did want to say, when I started out my career ages ago, there was this fellowship program. You applied for it in general, and you don't know where you'll be placed. I was living in New York, and the placement I was hoping for, because being African, I was like, I know I'm going to specialize. At the time, I thought I would have a full career in international development and public health, with a lot of African expertise. I did that, but that didn't become my career. Okay. I'm a multi-hyphenate, so I've done other things.
The yeses.
So at that point, I was like, I'm doing this fellowship. I'm going to get West Africa. I speak French, and I got Madagascar. And I just, for some reason, I was just like, this is not the
what I
Cote
envisioned.
d'Ivoire, Senegal that I saw for myself, and just saying yes to something that I knew nothing about put me just in a completely different direction altogether. Just knowing this very unique country, learning basic Malagasy, having an experience that today, 2 decades later, is still like, what, Madagascar? And so that's one of the say yeses that has worked out for me in hindsight. And in that moment, everyone was like, just wait. I had another job offer, stay in the States, and then next year apply for something for West Africa.
Yeah.
But timing sometimes doesn't work for you.
You're so
yes,
right.
That was mine.
Do you have a yes for us?
I do have a yes for you. I was thinking about it. I didn't even understand how it took me so long, because this was a really big yes.
Okay.
So in the earlier years of my career, once I got into this wonderful global multinational, I built a career many years there, and it was because it was so large, you had an opportunity to change jobs within it. So you didn't even need to change jobs up and leave the company, you know, great company. And then there was this headhunter that had called me, and I remember thinking, I'm not even interested. I'm just so loved where I
so
am.
good in the big
I was feeling so snooty
global
about
company.
the opportunity. But I had a boss. I got a new boss in that current role, and for everything about me triggered this guy. So he hated. I mean, I would walk in. He would almost want to sneer. Like he was
Like
just
a microaggressor.
He was a micro. he was a macro. I mean, this guy was so hostile.
Large scale.
Oh yes. Oh my God. I don't know how I survived him. And he was horrible. Every time I'd open my mouth in a meeting, he'd go for my jugular. It was that bad. I could not say anything. And I remember even junior people in the team would come and say, does this guy have a problem with you? Because it was so obvious. Anyway, back to this other company that was trying to headhunt me.
Right.
They would call. I was going to be in South Africa where the headhunter was because I was going for the World Cup. They tried to reach me. I was there. I was like, oh no, I'm kind of too busy. Sorry. And they were like, we'll come to you. And I was just, no, thank you. Okay, I'll call you. I'll let you know. And then I wouldn't. But because this aggressor was he had decided, I'm going to finish this woman if it's the last thing I do. He was so hostile. I mean, it was horrible. And I was always these kind of very lively, positive kind of people. It got to a point where literally I couldn't handle it anymore. Couldn't handle it anymore. Like my spirit was just getting chipped at. And it was so weird. One of the days after a really bad meeting where I'd literally, when guys took a break, I went to the loo to cry, then powdered my nose, did my makeup, and went back into the meeting. It was that bad.
Oh, wow.
And I remember thinking, and I went to HR and cried to the HR guy, and I said, I can't do this anymore. He knew we were having problems with this guy, this boss of mine. But I guess he didn't know how to maybe
bridge it or
fix it, you know? So anyway, long story short, a couple of days later, the phone rings again, and what do you know? It's the headhunter from South Africa. This is 3 months later.
Oh, wow. That's dedication.
Still just trying.
Yes.
Let me tell you, this was the best career move I ever made in my life.
Oh, wow.
The minute I said yes and amen, I mean, the package was incredible. The sign-on bonus was incredible.
Oh,
the
wow.
terms were incredible. The salary was like 3 times what I was earning. I mean, the benefits were nuts, like crazy. The job had a huge scope. It put me at a very senior management level. At that point, I think I was the second most senior woman in Africa in the organization.
Hello.
Okay. And I just thought that guy was torturing me.
Yes.
In hindsight, I was so glad he tortured me because it made me
Got you
say,
out of the
he
comfort
nudged
zone.
me into
Out of your comfort
yes.
zone.
Yeah.
He nudged me into my yes.
Wow.
It's the best career decision I've ever made in my life.
Well, I think
that is amazing.
I think that's a very interesting thing about it. First of all, who could follow that up?
I know. Notice the silence.
Oh,
so
even
much
has
they
to
said
set
there.
in.
Yes.
But first of all, that's so interesting, even the way she has shaped it, because that's the thing about valleys, because I guess your valley was him. It wasn't you.
Yeah.
he was
Yes.
your valley at that
He
time.
was the
But the other
valley.
thing is about
Yeah.
that pressureful moment is the one thing that you can be assured of, which I mentioned a little prior to this, is when you're out of it, you're not going to be the same person.
No.
And there's a reason why your valleys are that deep. In fact, actually the depth of it can assure you that thing that's coming through, there's a reason why you're being shaped into this. Maybe who you're meant to be at the end of it prepares you into being who you have to be to take on that opportunity.
I love it. Oh yes.
Yeah.
That is a mic drop. That is a mic
They might
drop.
have to drop.
Yes.
I don't know if I can say it the same way, but yeah, I do believe that what it is you learn, and the fact is that they become such ingrained lessons, and how they transform you, morph you, it prepares you to be who you need to be for that opportunity.
Or for that next phase of life.
It's timing.
Anywhere.
Let me tell you that.
And the thing is that's actually that first step in that direction, because that's when you start to get out of your own way.
Yes.
And also what was mentioned earlier, which is actually you'll tell us if there was money in that chimpanzee thing. The thing about like a yes is that one, I don't believe that it should be tied to you need to release yourself from that monetary value thing, right?
Correct.
Because everything that does come your way seamlessly, although you're focused on one thing, you need to ask yourself, why is this in my way right now? And even if it's out of your comfort zone, if it's something you have no business doing, if you've never done it before, or if it's just something you hadn't considered, why not? It's worth it. You're not crafting your own story because you're not sure if it'll just be a good experience. Something is also allowed to just be a good experience and not have to pour back into you a lot, or it could be something that completely changes your trajectory.
Yeah, because you don't know what's on the other side of the door.
Sometimes you can just let a good thing, or even just a time thing. Even if you just say, let this just be a time filler, you'll be shocked. So now on to my yes, because that's a good setup.
On to your yes.
Okay. So now at the time I was freelancing a lot, and those in the gig economy, those freelancers, shout out to you all. You also know, like, when things come your way, you don't even ask questions.
Yep.
You just say, first of all, you have your the reasons for why you're open to gigs. Like so a Cheng mentioned to make some money, or to fill time, or because maybe you have why not? Or you haven't seen a chimpanzee in real life. I don't know. But I remember, like, at the time I was doing a lot of market copies, so like a lot of things would just come up to me where I just have to read through something really quick, write out what you want, and send it back to you. So I remember a lady had reached out to me. And I won't mention names because then it can be uncomfortable. But so a lady reached out to me and said, you mentioned you do the market copy thing. I need to write like a speech for something, so I'm sending it over to you. Write some notes and help me prepare it. So I went through it. It was really fun. It was really great, and it was also, I could tell it wasn't going to be paid. She was like, "Do you have some time? That would be great. It's tomorrow."
Right.
Yes.
So I was like, "Why not? Just fill the time. Keep yourself busy. Keep the mind sharp."
Love it.
So now I said yes, and she was like, "Oh, if you'd like to attend, this thing starts at 9 a.m. at ABC. I'm sending at ABC location, not the place."
Got that.
And I'm gonna send you a QR code because you have to be scanned. Be there early so you can slip you in. Maybe help at the desk signing people in, and then you can enjoy. So I was like, okay, no money. I don't even know what this is for. And now I'm hoping at a welcome desk. Excuse me, what happened? Now I've gone to secretary.
Am I the help?
But I looked at it and I was like, I'm not even doing anything tomorrow. So sure, send me that QR code. There's nothing on it. And it turned out to be the East Africa Petroleum Conference.
Wow.
And one of the main focuses of it was women in energy. And the minister of this area now is a woman, so she held it so they could bring powerful women together in the field. People flew in, and they had these forums and conferences, and while I was signing your names, I swear there are people who I never thought I'd breathe the same air as. All I did was hand a tag and say, hello, madam.
Yes.
And even at that time, I was like, this is so interesting because your things that come into your way, I think they're for a reason. I think this was here just to put me in a great space with these amazing people, amazing women, and like hear what they had to say.
It.
And like I just walked out thinking, you know what, the future is female. Like
Yes, honey. The future is female.
And also, this was also like a kind of conference or event where I'm not in this field, but I got to meet young people my age and people span all ages, and petroleum is something I don't even think I've read more than 5 sentences about, but I walked out and let me tell you the things I could tell you now.
Yes, you see?
But like you never know why something comes your way, and it doesn't even have to be something life-changing. You don't know why it's been sent your way. It could just be the pick-me-up that you need.
It could be the pick-me-up that you need. You could have been sleeping all day thinking, oh my God, I need to send another CV. Instead, you met 25 plus people.
Exactly.
And the thing when I was thinking about that door, you don't know what's behind it. When you say yes, it's the what is behind it. Content on petroleum, knowledge of ministries, whatever,
the network,
the network.
The who is behind it is so important, I find, because it's those people that remember you. They might have remember your energy, your just positive spirit, and just other qualities that I call like the soft skills.
The soft skills
for later,
for sure.
And the other thing I've picked from you is something I tell everyone. I mean, I mostly tell my peers. No task should be too small,
Small.
for anyone.
Yeah.
Too
You know,
minuscule.
I'm doing like the keynotes, or I'm on the panel, or I'm moderating.
Or
Let me
at the
tell you
welcome
something.
desk.
If I'm there and we need to begin, and we've got to put water on the tables, we've got to put things
Do
in
it.
badges.
Yeah.
Let me never be the person,
Mm.
and please just keep me honest
Yeah.
here. Let me
Yeah.
never be the person who just can't do that because
Mm.
I'm a director of something.
Yeah.
That attitude is so useless, people. Throw it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always be able to just do anything.
It's
You know,
problem.
it's
The
you- that's
hierarchy will
humility.
never get you anywhere.
I once
That I
worked
know
with a
for sure.
lady who had a PhD. She got her PhD when she was like, I think, around 26 or something.
Right.
And we worked as, I think we were peers for the longest time. Then she was promoted eventually, then I was promoted. But I always used to watch her in absolute fascination because she'd be in this meeting and she'd get up and make sure that everybody had something to drink. But she was the PhD in the room, more
Oh, wow.
more well read than the boss himself was, wonderful and very experienced. And I used to watch and think, with her PhD, why would she not just perch?
There's
Because
the
she's
absolute
doctor,
power
whatever.
of
But
humility.
She exercised a lot of humility, and in hindsight, when I look back, because I remember I used to find it the most fascinating thing just watching her do that,
Yeah.
because she was the most learned person in the room, in many of those rooms,
Yeah.
you know?
It's just an attitude that I find
Yeah.
helpful is you can do anything big and small. And I think it just comes in so handy in terms of work
Okay.
and the workplace. But anyway, I feel like you've got...
But yeah, in terms of, I just want to
Are we
steer
wrapping
this
up?
still a little to the next thing though.
Okay.
In terms of what because number one, yes, I've loved how it's been shaped because the idea is something that should also keep you in a positive space for those going through it is that you can't even begin to imagine the rooms you will walk into if you don't
Right.
get into your own way.
Oh,
But
yes.
so even just like that attitude, just like have it with you. But in
Okay.
something else, what else we should debunk? I want to know what the ladies think. I
Okay.
think that we should debunk the question of what do you do in
Oh,
social settings.
oh.
In fact, I'll let Miss Sunday take us on that. What do you
How?
think of that? Before we get
You know-
let's get into it.
Yes.
You know, I have unlearned that.
You have unlearned it. Let's unlearn it.
Over the many years, I have unlearned that for the simple reason that when I lived in London, in Switzerland, and the different places I've navigated, every time the question, you go to a party, you have a glass in hand, your juice, your wine, or whatever, and somebody says, hey, what do you do? Sometimes they don't even ask your name, they just say, what do you do? Because that in itself determines whether they should talk to you or not.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I found that very problematic. And I'm also living in a country where sometimes that what do you do and how long are you here for determines whether they should invest in this friendship
Oh, in
or
this
in this
interaction.
connection, right?
Wow.
So for me, the what do you do is problematic because it speaks to dynamics of power.
Yeah.
It speaks to class. It also speaks to sometimes it opens up a vortex of how did you get there?
It's a loaded question.
It's
You
a
don't
very
even know.
loaded question.
Yes, that's
So the
interesting.
reason I'm saying I unlearned it is when I go to parties today, I mean, people can for sure ascertain, for those of you that know me, is sometimes I just do the mundane thing. Hi, it's
Hi.
nice to see you, Kirabo. What book are you reading these days?
What book is-
What's the
So a
most
different question. So you refrain.
You
Just-
reframe.
yeah.
Do you
Or
refrain?
divert. Yeah.
And then the conversation changes because somebody will be like, oh wow, gosh, I haven't read in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why haven't you?
Yeah.
And then they spin the question to me. Oh, are you reading something? I said, yeah, actually I'm reading 2 books simultaneously. And the reason I do it is because when I'm on a plane, I'm just very deliberate that I never watch movies.
Yeah.
It's my only time where I can read.
Yes.
Okay.
Only when I'm on the plane. And so you begin to, but for me, that whole
That's nice.
what do you do is a very problematic question.
Yeah.
Personally. I
And
mean,
it's problematic because of how we started this discussion, because of what we said about society expecting you to do something, to say,
Yeah.
oh, I'm an engineer
I'm a
for
this, I'm a
Total, or I'm a teacher. Whatever it is, you have to be a something
A thing, yeah.
professional.
Before you're yourself.
You know, and my hack, which has also been recent, my hack is, what are you passionate about?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I
What
think
are you
I was
passionate
pausing
about?
to
I
think
like
what
that
made
a
me
lot.
what
I
made
love
me
that.
unlearn it was
Yeah.
more a time saver because I do different things, and so I'm always like, do we have time? You know, so so that's why I started reframing it. It was really in cognizance of the fact that sometimes people do things like, oh, I'm, I don't know, let's say you are a civil engineer, but it might not be the thing that's fiery. And so when I ask, for me that question, for the longest time hasn't been oh, you're a director, so I need to come and...
So I need to choose.
But it's been more to make this conversation interesting. I'd love to know, like, what's your jam? It's really my question.
And doesn't that speak to the point of, you remember the video we did on Multilicious?
Yes, that's another one.
Because people are multidimensional.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So my thing has always been, really, even from 21 when I started working, it's more like you're in this cocktail, so you've been uncomfortable and stuff. So I'm stuck with you as a stranger. I just want to know what's your jam, which is more elegantly put. What are you passionate, about?
Absolutely.
And that's what I've started doing.
I love that because in the end, it's about connections.
Correct.
Even if you go somewhere where you want to network because you want something from someone, you've seen Chirabo across the room and you know she's like this and this and she can help you do X, Y, Z.
Yes.
Even if you want that, it's so much easier to get that if you make a connection.
Yes.
So asking something around, what are you passionate about?
Yes.
Or even making a conversation about, the speech that was given and how, how courageous the person was to share.
Yes.
Or about the venue and how it's so fabulous with the fairy lights, makes you want to just skip or, just humanizing the conversation.
Correct.
Bringing it down to just being people who have met, strangers who have met, not everybody's comfortable and everybody wants to kind of break the ice.
Yes.
That allows for a bigger connection that will enable you to then call up that person one day and even ask for what you wanted.
Exactly.
Instead of sort of going head on that I want to get to know Musonda because she works as this and this
How
and
much
I
you
want
earn.
this.
Yes.
I want a gig, I want a job,
Exactly.
Make the connection first. Make sure your conversations allow you to connect. That's the whole point of conversation,
I love
So
it.
I really love the idea of, what are you passionate about? I'm stealing that one.
No,
just
please
so
steal it. It's fairly recent. Habit, take
What
it. Passion for you, you.
I know. Everybody gets a passion. It is a very true. It is a very tough time in general when you're trying to put yourself out there.
Yes.
Because it can feel like a negative space when you're already going through these processes internally. That external situations can just seem to add on to it.
Yes.
In fact, it can make us retreat into our own bubbles when we're actually meant to be outside there.
Exactly.
You can't find your thing if you're inside. You need to-
Exactly.
and even if you're not
Good
finding
one.
your thing, like I also think that the experience it's not going to shorten it. You need to be out there. You need
Yes.
to be getting closer to it.
To the
And
thing.
it's even harder for me to you want to stay inspired. You need to seek inspiration like a problem, like a bat out of a cave.
Yes.
Right? You need to be out there thinking, now that the world has given me this right now, there's obviously like lightning's about to strike, and it's so hard to do that when navigating social situations feels so draining.
Yes.
But once you've even removed that shame from it, that internal shame that can stress you out, if like I don't want to have this conversation again, but you need to, and it can start with you in getting to know people from a different layer, because in that conversation they're getting to know you as well from a different point of view.
Absolutely. And you know what? Something you've said reminded me of.
Yeah.
And then I know you've got your last question for
Yeah.
us. Oh my
The last
goodness.
one.
This is just so enriching,
Yeah.
So a friend of mine put together a panel, Women in Finance, and these are like Pan-African women, 10, 20 years experience, the works, right?
Yeah.
And really shout out because that was excellent. And I'm sitting in the room and I was looking at some of these women. I knew them, most of them, and I thought, God, look at this expertise. And there was this young, spunky, lady. And my friend who was hosting the session said, so everybody, as you introduce yourself, I want to introduce, young woman X. She's about 20 something and she's just starting out, not sure where she's going work-wise, but she mentioned something I thought would be great for her to come.
Okay.
And I just thought, wow, for us, let me challenge us, Musonda, Acheng and I, take that young person somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Right? And make sure they're comfortable, right? Microaffirmations are things we've talked about. Bring them to the table because it's free.
I know.
It costs us nothing.
Because you're not okay.
And that person now, we've all given her, our sort of cards, our LinkedIn and so on. We're not sure what she wants to do. She's not sure what she wants to do. She has 20 older women who work in different sectors, mostly in finance, and she knows she can call on us. Talk about a leg up.
It's about bringing that person to the table,
So
that young lady to the
open
table.
the space as well.
Yeah.
That's
And if
good.
you think back to
Yeah.
your own careers, somebody somewhere gave you that
yes.
break. In the same way you're giving this young lady a break.
Yes.
So how are we paying it forward? It doesn't matter. You could be 24, Chirabo, now you've got this amazing opportunity. Somebody, this person that you'd worked for before has given you this amazing opportunity.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to pay it forward? How am I paying it forward?
Yes.
That once upon a time, somebody gave me an opportunity because he said, I saw something, I felt like you had some potential and I took a chance.
Yes.
How do we make sure we pay it forward
Yeah.
the way you guys
So
are doing for this young person?
important. And I'm telling you, this young person, if she saw on LinkedIn finance, right, climate finance, development finance, VC finance, it just seems so dry. Let me tell
And
you,
very daunting.
as
Very
a
daunting.
brown,
And very scary, yeah.
woman
Can I do it?
Yeah.
in this room, and again, we were mostly Africans.
Yeah.
Just the way we looked, and just was so different from how you think finance is. That it
Yes.
gave her this other taste. Remember
Right.
that it's when you see somebody that looks like you,
Correct.
is kind of like you, maybe
Yes.
shares the same passions and things,
Yeah.
is where you can see yourself, is how you can see yourself in that position. And so, anyway, it's powerful beyond means, just a
Yeah.
reminder to self to do it.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
Okay, I think this ties into my last question because
Okay.
I really just wanted to know everyone's piece of advice, even if you're
Okay.
bottom lining it for someone out there saying, you know what, inspire me, because it reaches people at different ages, different points in your
Right.
life. I also went through this stage with my aunt, and we got our breaks around the same time, and
cool.
it brought us really closer as well because these are very unifying experiences. Everybody can go through it, will go through it, has gone through it.
Yes.
So so from a chain we have carried forward. That's the advice you have for those who have gone to that point. I think maybe also just from that, maybe just keep knocking on those doors. You never know who carried forward with you, right?
Love it.
So,
Exactly.
From Auntie Metri, how do we bottom line that one? It's more.
What did I have? What did I say? I'm just taking in so much information. It was also the bring someone along with you, but I think the one I will stick to is when in the valley, especially when it comes to professionally looking for work, things aren't happening. Please force yourself out of the bed, out of the house, out of the whatever, and just speak to someone.
Speak.
Is the thing,
it out there.
because foreheads aren't being read. Speak to someone about it, and that can just have so many multiple spin-offs in terms of connections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in terms of just speaking to your peers, even if it's not people who might even help you out, the power of conversation.
Yes.
It's better out than in.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, that's a powerful one. Ms. Sandra, what would you say?
Unlearning. There's a lot of things we need to unlearn.
Okay.
Our culture, barriers that are not propelling us forward, the complexity of the world. But ultimately, what I know for sure is we live in one big global village. And in this global village, I went to University of Zambia, but when I was hoisted into the international space, I was competing with somebody who went to Yale.
Wow.
So I literally had to remind myself that I am worthy
Yes.
You're
to
worthy,
be at
and
that
you
table,
are worthy.
in that space, and with the education and the place where I'm coming from.
Yes.
I honored where I was coming from.
Love
I
it.
love that.
Nice.
As a bottom line for you, this is kind of in it because this is now, I think, okay, what I would say. It's also the name of the chapter of my life right now. But one, I would say rise to the challenge. You need to rise to the challenge, especially when there's nothing going on for you per se. It's about it's all about you now. You're the one who steers the ship, and especially in a place of pressure. And I earlier I called it, in my bad days I called it a season of L's, but it's either a loss or a lesson. Like all these things are gonna go over your head, and nothing is gonna change with
Loss
you
or
unless you're
lesson.
taking them on head on. You need to rise to the challenge, because even when your door opens, are you gonna rise to that challenge?
Yeah.
And especially what she said, there was something important that someone said to me in a conversation I had with her. She said, honor your gift. you need to trust in the tables that you end up at. You need to honor your gift in that. Keep on going for the things even if you can't see yourself there yet. Go for it either way.
Yep.
And don't let any form of desperation come in the middle of that. Like once you start moving from a place of desperation, you're just prolonging it. You need to honor your gift. You need to rise to that challenge and go for it and keep learning. That's what I would say. Because
awesome.
especially even like in my job now, I'm most probably gonna send this to my boss. He's gonna see it. He'll be the first one to tell you. Keep that power of yes that we spoke about is something that I employ even today. Even if I don't know how to do something, I'll say just give me a minute. You never have to watch a TikTok or a YouTube or keep him on the phone for 2 hours. By the end of that conversation, by the end of the conversation, I'm gonna know how to do what I was meant to do.
Good.
There is no no. There is only yes.
There's only yes.
And keep learning.
Yeah.
Keep learning.
Yes.
Love it.
That's so
something you don't know how to do now. It's just something you don't know how to do yet.
Now.
Exactly. But you know what? Mine actually is not paid forward.
Okay.
Because when you're a young person in that valley, it's not about paying it forward necessarily.
Yeah.
For me, it's about planning. The first point that I made, which is you've got to think about what is the big need and how are you planning for it.
How are you?
And we touched on it a number of times, whether it's learning something, whether it's cleaning up your resume or taking odd jobs, even if they're not paid, but things that give you experience, whether it's figuring out, since I need money, maybe is it odd jobs where you're freelancing, do something. When you're in that valley, you've got to have a plan.
Love it.
Have a plan. Make a plan.
That is fantastic
Yeah.
at that level
Yeah.
of skinny CV.
Yes.
This has been amazing.
So
Thank you.
we're doing the wrap up now.
Okay.
Thank you for joining with the
I know.
Queens, brought to you by Chirabo.
I love it. Okay.
And I
Okay.
think my parting wisdom for you all out there, figuring it out is it's something I learned from a podcast here as well, a Kenyan one. The podcaster said, if it's not the right time, you can't force it, but when it's the right time, you can't stop it. So
Woo!
keep going.
Keep
So
going.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and
Thank
everyone,
you.
please
Subscribe.